Piyush, considering that you have difficulty speaking, that is a bit evident. I don't want to have a Q&A between us. I just thought we will give some of the members of the audience, especially the students of public policy who are here. If you would like to ask the minister some questions, please raise your hands and we'll get a mic across to you. As you think of questions, perhaps, I will kick off with a question. And then, Piyush, throughout the day, we've been talking about execution of policy, a measurement, feedback loop. What is your personal approach to choosing the right people? Or how does the political bureaucratic interface happen? Especially coming at it from the context of, so one of the schemes that we have recognized today as a success showcase is the GEM marketplace, the GEM marketplace under your ministry. It was discussed during a panel this morning, and one of the bureaucrats said that the great difficulty is in finding people, competent people and bureaucrats, that kind of capacity who can run projects like the GEM marketplace. How do you do that?
Well, I am grateful to you for that question. It truly, in a way, reflects the working of this government. Of course, the young boys and girls in the room may not know much about it, but some of us more wizened old people here will remember that government in the old days, normally one would say good old days, but in this case, I certainly can't use that adjective. There was a department called Director General of Supplies and Disposal, DGS&D. That was run out of the address where today Commerce and Industry Ministry has a new building called Vanijya Bhavan. It was a small barrack, discrepit, unorganized, few people sitting there, registering contracts or registering suppliers who would then be eligible to supply their goods or services to any government or government department. I can share with you that as a young entrepreneur, when I was actually studying for my chartered accountancy, I had started a small factory. I had myself come to that office to try and register what I wanted to sell. I couldn't even enter the gate. I was thrown out of the gate. Because it was a preferred club of suppliers who were all pura setting hui thi sab kuch. Everything was set and it was organized in such a way no newcomers were welcome. Or I didn't know how to crack the system maybe. When Prime Minister Modi came into government, and the total sales out of that were about 5,000 crores or so. You had to pay huge bribes to get registered there. You could inflate your prices. It was all very well cartelized and managed. When Prime Minister Modi came in, one of his focus areas was transparent procurement. Wherever government is spending hard-earned public money. And he said, when the world has moved on to e-commerce, why should government not take the benefit of that? And that's where he conceptualized this gem of a public policy tool, if I may say it. He conceptualized the government e-marketplace, put together a crack team, and in a very short period of time, they developed the government e-marketplace platform on which we invited suppliers from all over the country to register as suppliers and started persuading governments to start, and government PSUs and state governments, panchayats, everybody to start procuring on that. In the first year, 5 years ago, the total procurement from that was 432 crores. Last year, that is the year just gone by, March 23, we closed for the year procurement of 2 lakh crores. 2 lakh crores procurement in 1 year. The year before that, that is 21-22, it was 1 lakh crore. nearly doubled. And over the last 6 years, 5 or 6 years, the total sales or procurement through GEM has been about 4 lakh crores. There have been studies by policy experts, by IIM, independent agencies, who have estimated that you're saving anywhere between 8 to 15% through this transparent mechanism of procurement, because there's no way you can game that system. And we are continuously keeping a watch. If somebody puts any specifications which are out of the ordinary to try and stop fair play, GEM officials and GEM teams are continuously watching the procurement tenders also. The idea being that more and more people get an opportunity. Any of you in this room, any of you, is welcome to register in GEM, speak about your quality, give the best competitive prices, and government orders from central government, state governments, many of them, governments, PSUs at the center and state, panchayats, municipal corporations, and the ecosystem is growing as more and more awareness is created. And this is not about politics. This just goes beyond politics, as I think should most things in public interest or in the country's interest. We're inviting everybody across the country, wherever government money is being spent. Now we've also allowed the cooperatives to come onto it. And to answer your question, there are enough and more young boys and girls, very passionate about the country. They're willing to forego very high private sector salaries and work for a few years in government, because the training, experience, and exposure that you get in government is unique. It actually changes your way of looking at things, the scale at which government works, the type of new things that Mr. Modi, particularly on the technology front, has introduced. So I think I would invite some of you young boys and girls, particularly involved in public policy, to join government. Maybe for a year, 2 years, 3 years, as young fellows, young professionals. We keep coming out with opportunities for young professionals, lawyers, management students, economic students. A lot of opportunities keep coming, 1 year, 2 years. This engagement with government, or techies for that matter, will really show you a new world, particularly when we are trying to bring in honesty and transparency in whatever the government does. And we always solicit ideas. There's a lot of stakeholder consultation. I myself meet with people who are suppliers on GEM, who are buyers, the government bodies who are buying on GEM, keep getting feedback. Public policy's biggest strength, or government working biggest strength, emanates out of engagement with the stakeholders. And I see these opportunities also as an opportunity to hear from the people and understand their aspirations so that we can fulfill them. So GEM has been an absolutely wonderful example of how honest, transparent public procurement can be made public policy. And as I said in the beginning, public policy is all about transforming or transferring your vision and your intent with action on the ground. GEM is that action. And youngsters today, I'm glad to report, and government officers, bureaucrats also, when they get involved with Mr. Modi and his team, they themselves also start looking at things with a more modern perspective, with a more transparent outlook, with honesty at the very core of whatever decisions are taken. So it's a joint effort, and I compliment the bureaucrats as well as the young boys. There are a lot of youngsters in GEM, by the way, and they're all doing fantastic work.
Wonderful. You laid down very eloquently during your address the very creditable and real achievements of this government. What are one or two areas where you feel more progress could have been made?
Well, I think if all the governments in the country took the approach that Prime Minister Modi has taken, and he's told all of us in the cabinet many times that, look, until the elections, we are all working, trying to get votes, criticizing, all of that. Once the election is over, now we are representing 140 crore Indians. Now it's not that this is BJP, this is another party's government, this is a third. All of us have to work in tandem. All of us have to work for the collective good of the people. And I do wish in many areas where petty politics seems to prevail and create hurdles to faster implementation of public programs for the good of the people. If we had got better cooperation and support, we could have done much more. For example, if Ayushman Bharat, some of the states have not implemented it. When I'm trying to modernize the fair price shops, I feel I get resistance when I'm introducing one nation, one ration card, or more modern and better implementation of the food grain distribution program. When we are trying to ensure that legal metrology concepts are implemented honestly all across the country, and we decriminalize various laws which are really not required to be there and which create a lot of angst among small traders and business persons. I wish there was more cooperation and more collective wisdom that prevailed. Sadly, I find that some people are just too much into politics all the time. And that becomes certainly a detriment to many of the good programs that we would like to reach the people of the country.
Piyush ji has touched upon center-state relations. We will shortly hear from Chhattisgarh CM Bhupesh Baghel ji, who is also here. So we'll get a nice rounded perspective on it. We're going to have to close this session, but Karuna, one quick question we'll get across to you. Could we get a mic very quickly to Karuna in front, please?
I have two questions. I'm a public policy specialist working on youth and women in particular. So I have a question relating to women and youth. One, I find it very endearing that you speak about young people with such passion, and it's really nice to hear that. So one is that we know that the future of work, which is essentially labor market disruptions that are caused because of automation or climate change, they are leading to a lot of effect on agriculture, manufacturing, construction specifically. And female labor force participation rate is getting affected disproportionately. So what would be some of the efforts that the current government is making in trying to bridge the digital divide so that the female labor force participation rate is not affected as a result of digitalization?
I do believe that over the last 9 years, if you were to compile, and I'm happy to send you a compilation if that helps. The amount of work done to help female participation expand its frontiers is phenomenal, right from increasing the ability of, as I said earlier, the girl child to complete her education, opening up the doors for more opportunities for our girl child, whether it's longer maternity leave for our women. The basic needs, I'm told sanitary pads and toilets were the two largest culprits which cause cervical cancer. I don't know right or wrong, but some doctors have given me to understand that these were very critical for women's health. The fact that in various government agencies or government hiring, or today we find in the projects of the private sector also, a lot of respect is being given to the genders, equality and equal opportunity for women. Take the textile sector, for example, which also I'm looking after. In garment making, between 70 and 80% of the workforce is women. And the government, through Samarth scheme, is funding the skilling of all the women who get an opportunity. I remember right now there's a little recession in the Western markets, the developed world. But about a year ago, when I went to Tirupur, in Tamil Nadu, I was told from the stage that, sir, we need 50,000 women in our workforce. We'll skill them and they'll get a job on day one. We'll pay them as we skill them. that is the demand for our women workforce also. Electronics industry we are promoting in a big way, as you might be aware. Apple has come in. We are now the world's second largest mobile manufacturer. Almost the entire mobile industry is run by women in a big way. And I remember the Apple CEO discussing with me and talking with me about women's safety and how they want to make it convenient for women to work. So they had requested, and then we discussed it with many organizations, and we found that that would be a good way to support women in a bigger, to get more jobs. They had requested the Karnataka government and Tamil Nadu government, where they were setting up plants, to allow 12-hour shifts without compromising on the total number of hours. So 48 hours are allowed to be worked for women to work. They said keep it 48, allow 12-hour shifts so they can go during daylight when the shift changes. Both shifts will start and end at a daylight hour. And we'll arrange for their transport, so safety of women is ensured. In addition, for the extra 4 hours that they'll work every day, they'll get overtime wages. So for the same 48 hours, they can work, they can earn more money. They get 3 days off, so they can spend more time with their children and other needs that a woman may have. Should somebody need more income, the overtime that they do on the 5th day will almost get, I think, triple overtime or something of that sort. So they did all of that. Tamil Nadu government, after passing a law, I don't know, they backed out soon thereafter. I can't for the life of me understand how that was not good for encouraging women participation. I just hope the Karnataka law stays on the statute book. So there's a lot of things that are happening. Climate change is certainly a challenge, but the world today recognizes India is at the forefront of the fight against climate change. For your information, we have a UNFCCC report that we are required to, every country is required to file every 2 years. Many countries don't. We are amongst those who files every 2 years. There was a recent ranking which was ranking all the states on their INDCs made at Paris, at COP21, the commitments we all made in Paris. You'll be happy to know India ranks 4th in that. We are the 4th best performer in the whole wide world when it comes to our fight against climate change, our commitment to sustainability. In fact, we are the only G20 country in the top 10 names. So this is one nation where we don't need to preach or teach about climate change or sustainability. For all of us, it comes naturally. And before we close, I saw the message you've got. I'll just say one thing, again, for all of those who are older in the room. I remember when as a child, if I ever left a room without switching off the fan or the tube light, उन दिनों में tube light ज़्यादा चलती थी हमारे घरों में. If I ever left the room without switching off the fan and tube light, my mother would give me a spank, which would make sure that next time I don't do that mistake. Of course, in today's world, we can't, and we shouldn't also, spank any of our children. But we can at least educate them, involve them, because every unit of electricity saved is nearly equal to 1.3 units of electricity generated. And imagine the huge saving which goes towards a sustainable future, a better future for all of mankind. We are committed to leave behind, friends, a better world for you to live in than the one that we inherited. Thank you.
Piyush ji, it's always a pleasure to listen to you. Thank you so much for being with us here today. A big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, to Union Industries and Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal. Thank you.